They were called the Holy Trinity for good reason. Three musicians that set the standard of excellence and exploration, earning one of the most hardcore fan bases for any band of the rock and roll era. Seeing one of their concerts is a supernatural experience. The story of one of their signature tracks that is a companion, unobtrusive, a song that's so elusive. Story's next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you've ever put on a great pair of headphones and listened to an epic song that just transported you to another dimension, it seemed like, you're going to dig this channel where we honor those songs with their stories, most of the times from the artists who created them. Make sure to subscribe below right now to be a part of this channel. Click the bell so you never miss a video. We also invite you to become a patron by going to our Patreon channel. The link's below. There's more content there. It really does help us to do more interviews and videos to curate this history. You can also go to professorofrock.com for more extras. So it's time for another entry into our show. Number one in our hearts, one of my favorites. Haven't done one of these in a while. This is where we talk about a song that was so great, it should have been a number one hit on the Hot 100, but for reasons unbeknownst to all of us, came up a little bit short. Most of these songs that I've nominated over the last year and a half for a program have actually done better long-term than the songs that were number one at the time. You know, there are bands like Grateful Dead, Metallica, Pearl Jam, Kiss, and Slayer, for example, that have rabid, loyal fans that have traveled to the ends of the earth to see those guys perform. Arguably, though, the band with the most hardcore fans is Rush. It's my opinion that they do, and for good reason. They are mind-blowing, shake your head in disbelief, great. I mean, I have one friend in particular who between 1974 and their retirement from touring in 2018 saw Rush perform more than 100 times. He has the ticket stubs to prove it. Rush fans were diehards because of their life-changing performances of their groundbreaking music. On this feature, we're going to spotlight one of those amazing pieces. One of those pieces of music that should have been a number one hit, one of my favorite songs by them that really made me a Rush disciple, The Spirit of Radio. Rush's extraordinary drummer, Neil Peart, he was riding back home late one night from a weekend songwriting session at a little country escape in Western Ontario, and he was just about to head down the escarpment into the city of Hamilton when he was awestruck by the striking vision of the city lights below. He was mesmerized by the sound of music playing on Toronto's legendary radio station, CFNY-FM. The breathtaking scenery of the city skyline and the music on the radio just captivated his senses. And when the CFNY jingle came on the radio, the station's jingle gripped him and never let go. It was a slogan that evoked Neil's fond memories of growing up listening to the radio with excitement and wonder. FM radio in the late 60s to mid-70s, it had an underground, adventurous spirit, you remember.
And it's always changing, and it is always the same. How's that for psychedelic?
FM was the antithesis of AM radio. There's very little advertising or clutter on FM, and the DJs had the autonomy to play bold new music with no boundaries. The DJs talked about the music and the artists that they were exposing to the listening audience. It was so intriguing to hear music by artists that opened the door to a whole new world of culture and endless possibilities. Listening to FM radio was engrossing, intoxicating. The signal was cleaner than AM with no static. I know many of you probably have a lot of memories about FM radio as children. My kids will never understand the true wonder, the otherworldly feeling of hearing a new band or your favorite band's new song on the radio. I mean, hearing it on Spotify or Apple Music by playing it yourself whenever you want, it's just not the same. Make sure to share some of those memories below in the comments, and let's talk about those mind-boggling moments that we had hearing songs on FM radio. That will be fun. Yeah, I remember the first time that I ever heard Rush. It was on a rock station as a kid. I'll get to that in a second. So struck by the spirit of radio tagline, Neil Peart reflected on how much he loved the radio, but he was also disillusioned by how much FM radio had, lost its zeal. And by the late 70s, had become way too commercialized. Peart captured his emotions into writing one of his finest compositions, named after the CFNY slogan, "The Spirit of Radio." Peart's The Spirit of Radio was meant to be a tribute to what Neil considered all that was good about radio and the celebration for all those magical moments that he experienced listening to the radio since, childhood. Begin the day with a friendly voice, a companion unobtrusive, plays that song so elusive, and the magic music makes your morning mood. So true. The Spirit of Radio was also a lament about how FM radio shifted from free form to a mechanical format controlled by corporate media. For Peart, radio had sold out, as he expressed in the song's third verse. All this machinery making modern music can still be open-hearted. Not so coldly charted. It's really just a question of your honesty. Yeah, your honesty. One likes to believe in the freedom of music, but glittering prizes and endless compromises shatter the illusion of integrity. Incredible lyricist. The impassioned lyrics of The Spirit of Radio spawned an eruptive masterpiece by rock's vaunted power trio of Neil Peart, Alex Lifeson, and Geddy Lee, three of the most respected musicians of the rock era who collaborated the respective brilliance to form Rush. In 1979, Rush was working on their album Permanent Waves. Known for their lengthy, progressive tracks, the threesome made a concerted effort to move away from long thematic cuts and into shorter, more concise, focused tracks. The Spirit of Radio, it represented an awakening of sorts for Rush. As the 80s were approaching, Lee, Lifeson, and Peart were checking out all kinds of music, including reggae and punk, artists like Talking Heads and The Police that were part of the emerging New Wave movement. Psycho killer, kiss, kiss, say, As we further break down this song, I want to recognize our sponsor. Now, I'm going to admit something to my friends in the Professor of Rock community, to all of you. I am a recovering computer hoarder. For decades as a Mac user, I used to hold on to all my old files, my emails, and random downloads, worried that someday I would need them, or frankly, I just didn't even bother to deal with it. And then I found out that not keeping my Mac clean was very unhealthy for my computer and was also putting me at risk for harmful malware. My hoarding days ended when I discovered Clean My Mac. It's a software for a Mac operating system that helps to clean up, speed up, optimize, and protect all my Mac computers. Clean My Mac X packs over 30 tools to help solve the most common Mac issues and helps manage storage for apps and monitors the overall health of the computer. They even give personalized cleanup tips on how a customer like me uses their Mac. The Smart Scan feature from Clean My Mac has been invaluable to me because it examines my system for system log files and user cache that I no longer need. Click on the link in the description below to get Clean My Mac and say goodbye to unhealthy hoarding and a frustratingly slow-moving Mac. Spirit of Radio was, in essence, a reflection of a changing landscape in music at that time, as well as music media outlets. How different it is now. The arrangement of Spirit of Radio launches with a frenetic Rush vortex of Alex Lifeson's swinging pendulum guitar licks representing a flurry of bouncing radio waves. The song progresses with change-ups portraying the act of switching radio frequencies to experience all different kinds of music. For example, there are definitely new wave flourishes that illuminate the chorus. came up with a reggae introduction to Working Man, originally recorded in 1974 on their concert tours.
I guess that's why they call me.
They decided to build in a reggae passage for the Spirit of Radio in Alex Lifeson's words to make us smile and have a little fun. The reggae-flavored part was incorporated as a structure shift for the interlude to set up the song's thrilling outro. I just love it. It's one of my favorite parts of a song. The outro is not only the most dramatic sonic aspect of the Spirit of Radio, it also features the most acerbic part of Neil Peart's editorial about commercialization. But it was mostly directed toward his fellow rock artists. Peart grew weary of hearing onstage patter from bands that Rush toured with it that time and before. You know, where the lead singer would deliver the same spiel night after night, gig after gig.
Hello, Cleveland! Hello, Cleveland!
Yelling out that the city that they were playing was the greatest in the world or had the best fans in the world. You've heard it before. Peart thought that those kind of declarations were disingenuous and really manipulative. The musicians were becoming less like artists and more like salesmen. Geddy Lee amplified Peart's disgust in the most memorable part of his evocative vocal. For the words of the prophets were written on the studio wall, concert hall, and echoes with the sound of salesmen. Of salesmen.
Of salesmen.
The unparalleled combination of Alex Lifeson's cyclonic guitar attack, Neil Peart's complex madman drumming, and the bump and funk of Geddy Lee's superhero bass line, it just gives the Spirit of Radio a resounding, climactic finish. The dynamic musicianship on the Spirit of Radio is so insanely good. Really defies category or analysis. It's in a class all by itself, as was the Holy Trinity. The Spirit of Radio literally ushered in the 80s and a new chapter in the evolution of Rush, as the song was chosen as the lead single from Permanent Waves on January 1st, 1980. It became Rush's first song to crack the top 30 in their native Canada, peaked at number 22 there. In America, the Spirit of Radio was not a crossover hit. It stalled at number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it was one of the hottest album rock tracks of the early 80s and, of course, has become one of the all-time greatest classic rock songs ever. The week that Rush peaked at number 51, it was quite a chart. I mean, Pink Floyd was spending its second week at number 1 with Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
All in all, you're just another brick in the wall.
Queen had just been at number 1 a few weeks before that with Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Now, it's a strange way to do this, but I would take a week away from either of those bands who were at number 1 for 4 weeks each to have the Spirit of Radio in that slot for just 1 week. I mean, think of that top 3. Rush, Pink Floyd, Queen, as it should be. The song garnered its highest chart success in the UK, though. It went to number 13 there, and it remains Rush's biggest hit to date. Ironically, the music of Rush wasn't played much on CFNY, but the Spirit of Radio changed that. Before Rush released the song as a single, the band and their longtime manager Ray Daniels met with the program director of 102.1 CFNY and explained that although the song was inspired by the station's slogan, there would be no mention of the call letters in the recording, as the mention of a rival station would dissuade competing stations from playing the single. Smart idea there. Of course, vinyl aficionados that have a copy of the original pressing in Permanent Waves will find the album master number in the center grooves is 1021, the frequency of CFNY. And in the lyric notes after the Spirit of Radio, the first track on Permanent Waves, there's a footnote reading dedicated to the Spirit of Radio, alive and well and living in Brampton so far. When Permanent Waves achieved platinum cell status, the band made a Platinum Award plaque for CFNY, where it was proudly hung on the station walls for a lot of years. Now, the first time I heard Rush, It was on the radio. It was on an FM station that came out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. I can't remember the call letters. I think it was KBLI, but I'm not certain. And I was exploring the radio dial, turning the knob on my stereo, trying to tune into something great. And I heard that blazing fast Lifes and guitar opening of the Spirit of Radio, and then the bass and drum Lee Peart combo as Geddy Lee started dealing. I was frozen for like 5 straight minutes. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard. The DJ came in after that. Mind you, he came in after that, after the music was completely over. And I remember he said, I'll never forget it, it's the Spirit of Radio, the Holy Trinity Rush. The song is called that as well. This moment of discovery was so special because I found these guys myself. This wasn't my dad's band or some kid's brother showing me this fabulous band. This was me finding them using a magical radio that had seemed to pull in a signal from beyond outer space. Over the next year or so, I hunted down Rush records and their cassettes. This memory is so sacred to me that I've savored it for many years, almost feeling to share it would be almost blasphemous. Plus, I felt pretty guilty as I kind of left Rush by the wayside. I abandoned them in high school as I got into the Smiths and Depeche Mode and The Cure. I felt like I'd outgrown them. Then I rediscovered them in my mid-20s, and even just yesterday, when I was listening to Permanent Waves, I shook my head in disbelief of how mind-bogglingly perfect this band is. Now, I've since repented of abandoning Rush in my depressed teenage phase, and I left my guilt aside long ago and decided to get with the program. I'm now entering my 3rd phase of Rushdom, rediscovering these songs and these great albums in my mid-40s. And anyone who hasn't listened to them in a while should do the same. They're just phenomenal. Rush released a new animated video for the Spirit of Radio in the summer of 2020 in celebration of the 40th anniversary of Permanent Waves, in harmony with the theme of Neil Peart's tribute to the joy and inspiration radio transmitted to his life. The conceptual 2020 video clip for the Spirit of Radio references milestones of the pioneers in FM radio, including an homage to the inventor of radio, Marconi. The video, really great, it touchingly closes with a personal salute to Peart, who passed away in January 2020. Musicians and fans often name Neil Peart as one of the most skilled and respected drummers of the rock era, an accolade that he richly deserves. However, as I've learned more about Peart over the years, reading his books, in addition to marveling at just how influential he was, I find him to be just one of the most endearing rock and roll figures ever. Peart was a pillar of artistic integrity and authenticity. He was an unassuming rock star that wasn't motivated by the glittering lights. I mean, before joining Rush and idolized by his peers, he humbly worked at his family's farm equipment dealership. He was an incredible musician, a brilliant lyricist and an avid motorcyclist, and of course an insightful author. In fact, Neil is the author of one of the most inspirational quotes that I've ever read. It says, what is a master but a master's student? If that's true, then there's a responsibility on you to keep getting better and to explore avenues of your profession. That quote is a testament to the amazing spirit of Neil Peart. May it dwell on all of us forever. I agree with that DJ that blew my mind playing this song so many years ago when I was sitting in my room listening to my stereo. The Spirit of Radio is the Holy Trinity Rush. It's also the name of their song. Make sure to leave us a comment about this classic song from 1980. What are your memories of this life-changing song? What are your memories of the year it came out in 1980 and the first time that you heard Rush? make sure to let us know in the comments below. If you like this content, we do invite you to be a full-time part of our channel. Make sure to check us out on Patreon. Also, subscribe below. Check out our merch at professorofrock.com. It's all about keeping the music alive. That's what we're all about. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.